Some of these people just have to use ChatGPT or some type of AI to just clean up these questions. I love the raw candidness of the bad grammar here on Reddit. But anyway, how's it going, everybody? It's Gene Villeneuve back again with the PPC Cave. Today we have episode 66, solo episode again, but we should be reuniting soon with Ryan. And today we're going to talk about Reddit questions. We have 3 Reddit questions that I picked out myself. And I think Reddit questions are really cool just because we can kind of get a sneak peek or a look at what is the most popular questions or the pattern of questions that most newbie or brand new or even seasoned PPC managers would ask the most, because usually Reddit is obviously, as we know, a great resource for just learning more about specific niches. And we all know Google Ads is a very niched area of digital marketing. So what better way to just kind of keep our ear to the ground than to answer some recent Reddit questions. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. So here is the first question. So it says, curious what strategy actually high monthly budget e-commerce manager uses. That is not grammar that I'm familiar with. Curious what strategy actually high monthly budget e-commerce manager uses. Hello, recently found out some strategies that work for e-commerce or lead gen, like Black Whale, Shark Targeting, Testers Arena. I am curious about what kind of strategies are common in international markets for budgets like 50K, 50,000 a month. Okay, that's weird. Strategies like Black Whale, Shark Targeting, Testers Arena. I have no idea what any of those search or those terms mean, or even if those are terms that are legit. I'm not sure. And I was reading some of these replies, and some people are saying that they have no idea what these terms are. It seems like a tactic of just branding themselves, whoever made those search terms or those terms like Black Whale testing. I'm not sure. It's basically just branding or marketing, or packaging essentially them as a guru, quote unquote. So I have no idea what that is. That's not like a bid strategy from Google Ads. That's like this guy says, that's some type of made up term or tactic to brand themselves within Google Ads. So what type of bid strategies? I mean, in Google Ads, we're so used to saying it depends, just because it really does. Every Google Ads account is going to be different. There's going to be so much nuance in the niche, the budget, the competitor, the location. There's so many different things. But as a, PPC manager, Google Ads manager, you have to understand that when it comes to strategy, we have to ask the right questions here. Strategies are common for budgets like 50K. That some people might consider that large. I have 1 or 2 clients that have that currently, but it's definitely mid to high when it comes to 50K spend. That's pretty high. But some people might not see that as high. I think it's just really important. If you have a budget like that, I'm sure you have, essentially what you're doing that's done pretty well, or else you can't scale up to that. If you just out the gate have a 50K budget, that might be someone that's not experienced or someone that doesn't really know how Google Ads works. You don't get to 50K a month if you're not doing well with 1K a month or 2K a month or 5K. So I'm guessing the strategy at this point is going to partition the budget in what works, what's getting the best target CPA, cost per conversion, conversion or ROAS. And layering on top of that are your testing. Either you're testing a new location, new country, or maybe a new offering that hasn't taken off yet. So I think understanding how you partition the budget in regards to what works versus what is, I would say, testing and, exploring new horizons, or maybe even brand awareness as the rise of display marketing has gone up. It's really important for us to be everywhere and target on YouTube or Gmail. And I think it's just really dependent on the goals of the account. And I know that's a broken record, but a lot of it has to be said many times, just because I feel like even as a seasoned PPC or Google Ads manager, we forget the basics. And the basics is there's no cookie cutter strategy. But if I was to answer this question on Reddit, what strategies high monthly budget e-commerce managers use? I think specifically for e-commerce, you have to understand how to get up a little bit more broad, a little bit more high funnel into search terms, just because low funnel is what it sounds like. It's the low hanging fruit. It's the high return on ad spend. It's the best sellers, or the areas geologically, or the geo-targeting locations that have worked in the past, exploring past those best sellers or past those areas and just trying to open up a new market to test is what you're going to be using the rest of this 50K budget for. So, I think that one search term, I keep saying search term, that one term they said testers arena. I have no idea what that is. I've never heard that before, but I'm guessing it's Google Ads account that has graduated from getting consistent conversion volume into moving into, testing and layering on top other areas where they can grow that hasn't been, exploited before. So I think it's just understanding that you could always go wide or you can go deep when it comes to adding budget. Some of the times for a campaign in e-commerce, it's like, yeah, you've done 10 return on ad spend on this campaign, but what does the conversion value look like if you were to increase the budget? And we all know maybe the conversion value over cost or return on ad spend will decrease, but how does the conversion value look if you were to decrease the return on ad spend? Will it go higher? And, that could be something you test also, and make sure that we're creating experiments or at least logging, what we're doing, just because if a test fails or if a test on Google Ads, it doesn't pan out the way that we want it, we have either the log or partition experiment within Google Ads to let us know, hey, we can revert back to what was working. So I think that's super important to make sure that we A/B test systematically and have a constant group and understand the catalyst for the new test or the differences for the new test, i.e. new budget, new products, new product groups that you're testing. So yeah, you could always go wider. You could always go deeper when it comes to a high monthly budget for either lead gen or e-commerce. It just really depends. I would do a little bit of both. I would go deeper with a higher budget for campaigns that have been working really well, that has a high return on ad spend or a low cost per conversion or a low target CPA. And I would also, in addition to adding more budget to the campaigns that are working already, also create new tests for maybe new products or offerings that hasn't really been, dialed in yet. And even in maybe new international markets, like trying for instance, if I was running an e-commerce campaign, which I do for many clients here in the US, one low-hanging fruit that might extend the budget or be a good test is trying Canada, implementing some type of, shipping program or promotion to people in Canada to entice them to purchase whatever I'm selling when it comes to e-commerce, or maybe your target CPA or lead gen. one thing could be expanding to a different city or county or, new state, if that is allowed in the service that you're providing. So I think there's a lot of different strategies when it comes to increasing budget or a high monthly budget for Google Ads. It just really depends on where you want to partition that budget. Do you want to increase the budget for campaigns that are currently working, or do you want to make a new separate campaign and target new products or new offerings or new services? And you could also try more demand gen. Maybe you don't have a demand gen or remarketing or performance max campaign. I would try that also and increase your budget, or create a new campaign for that. And maybe you can try new audiences. New audiences are good ways to test if you have extra budget and you know that you're hitting the goals for the client or your company. You could always increase the budget with maybe trying a new campaign that has partners in it. Even though I don't like partners, I don't really like the display network as much, just because it provides a lot of irrelevancy and will drop your return on ad spend or your conversion metrics. But at this point, it's like you have to try to expand and learn something that you haven't learned already. And that's going to be with higher budget, and obviously it's going to bring irrelevancy. But that's essentially what marketers and advertisers do. We want to reach the people that haven't been reached before. It's why we don't run only brand awareness campaigns. If I wanted to only care about return on ad spend or target CPA, I would only run brand awareness. But we want to reach people that haven't heard of our brand before or our offering before, and you're going to expect the relevancy once you increase that budget. Next, has anyone ever been paired with a North American Google Ads rep? Hey, was just curious to know if some of you people ever got paired to a North American Google Ads rep when starting a new ad campaign. Some of these people just have to use ChatGPT or some type of AI to just clean up these questions. I love the raw candidness of the bad grammar here on Reddit. But anyway, I have actually. So this was a long time ago. I had Google Ads rep in San Francisco. And, I'm not really big nowadays with meeting with your Google Ads rep just because they kind of have the same song and dance to try to push you to either increase the budget or try, basically get as close to 100% when it comes to the optimization score on your account. So I don't recommend, meeting with a Google Ads rep to fix your account. What I do recommend meeting with a Google Ads rep is just listening to what they have to say, and just kind of think of it as a second pair of eyes. I never just blatantly take a recommendation, or nowadays it's me really declining the calls whenever Google calls you, and it's a lot. Sometimes I even just block them as spam. But for someone that's more junior, or maybe getting their experience early on in the career of Google Ads, I just try to pull from my own experience. And I have taken a lot of meetings with Google Ads reps when I first started. And it was just to understand, hey, I'm not going to implement any of the things you're saying, but I would just love to hear how someone else can audit my account, just because it's always great to get a second pair of eyes, and just kind of tune out anything that comes up when it comes to the budget, or, just things like that. You should know that when someone just says increase the budget, that's not why. You want to ask why. You want to ask for an analysis and more of like reasoning, for why they suggest that. But I think it's just important to understand that it could be helpful for someone that's more junior or starting out to, take a Google Ads call and just learn. Don't optimize anything, don't change, just learn, listen to what they have to say. That's why I wanted to take this question, not really because of me answering anyone been paired with a North American Google Ads rep. Yes, I answered that, but to me, it doesn't really matter if they're from India or from the US or whatever it is. They usually have the same script regardless of country. So, moving on to the next question, the final question. How do you get hired as a newbie paid search specialist? I'm trying to get a job as a paid search specialist. I was freelance copyright and a performance marketer for the past 5 years, work with some super affiliates and manage their ad campaigns. Now I found out what I'm good at, paid search. I just fell in love with paid search as it's the most ethical type of advertisement method I've come across. Debatable. I also like that it can help tons and tons of local businesses, but I can't seem to find a job as a search specialist. What do I need to get a job as a newbie paid search specialist? I think we've answered different versions of this just because Google Ads or PPC is a very hot niche of digital marketing. But I think it's important for you to understand that the better PPC manager that you're going to be, or Google Ads manager you're going to be, I think it starts with having digital marketing skill set all across the board, as what I did. You know, I can only speak from my experience, and it's not me bragging or anything like that. It's just literally me trying to help people through my own experience, because this is the only way I know how to do things, just because this is how I did it. I know everything. I don't know everything, but when it comes to digital marketing, I am a full stack digital marketer. I manage social media and still manage social media accounts, SEO, email marketing, PPC, of course. I think if you know all four of those, to some type of degree, you'll be able to get your foot in the door in one of those areas, either social media manager or, SEO or email marketing. And then you could always try to layer, if you're looking to do freelance PPC, layer on top those other services first, either, on any platforms that are for freelancing. We know a lot of platforms that are for freelancing. Try to just put up packages or services for those digital marketing services, and put PPC in there, because sometimes you have to get your foot in the door through a different way. Like for me, for my current job, like I wasn't strictly hired just to do PPC. It was a component to induce more sales. So I do SEO, I do, obviously PPC, social media, email marketing, but it's just one tool out of the toolbox. So the more complete you are when it comes to digital marketing, the bigger chance you're going to get to land PPC, just because that's what you want to do. But I think it's just really important for you to get your foot in the door somewhere, either in-house or at an agency. And then you'll begin to see, okay, this is the service of PPC and who are the people that are looking for that. And once you get that general knowledge of, basically what they call in the VC world, product market fit, you'll be able to kind of work backwards and be like, okay, well then I need to be active in these areas, or I need to have this component because this is what all the clients that I see, at my agency, this is all they want for credibility. So you'll begin to able to be like more of like working backwards, I guess, just because if you don't know who you're speaking to or who the clients are, then how are you going to understand how to market yourself or how to get your foot in the door? So it's like working backwards. A lot of times people want a linear way to get to a certain point. Hey, Gene, how do I go from A to B? But sometimes you got to go from B to A, if that makes sense. Be a full stack digital marketer, understand all the nuances and details, of everything else. And of course, dive really deep into PPC. And then maybe you'll be able to get a chance for layering on that PPC experience and be like, hey, I know you hired me as an email marketer here. I would love to do email marketing, obviously, but I see no one's doing your PPC. Can I have a stab at maybe I don't know, $300 budget and see what we can learn together. Most of the times, if you're working in-house, or I don't know, agencies are a little different just because they have a specific people in roles. But if you can work in-house, I think that's your best bet, because you could become like a jack of all trades. So the more flat the organization is for in-house, the better chance you're going to get to be able to, just be a paid search specialist, because that's where what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to get experience. And even if you have friends, they're like, hey, I don't really have experience, but I'm willing to do this for free, or family, hey, this is the power of PPC. Can I just get $200, $300 budget? You don't have to pay me anything. I just want the opportunity to run an account, or even you run your own account. Either you have, an e-commerce store, and that's what I did. I had an e-commerce store. I ran PPC Google ads to it. It's best if you could do it either in-house or for yourself, because it's low stakes, but you're still getting the experience of Google ads, and you're understanding, hey, this is what I need to do for a client, because this is what I've learned either doing it in-house for my friends and family or my own website. So yeah, that's it for this episode. It's a very short episode, but I think these Reddit, themed episodes are really good, just because, like I said, it's ear to the ground, understanding what's recent and what's relevant for a lot of people that are in PPC, for a lot of people that have general questions that are consistently asked. So I think it's super important for us to do that. And if you have any questions, comment down below, either on our YouTube or Spotify video or Spotify, or you can send us an email at theppccave@gmail.com. We'll be there to answer, and we'll always upload Monday, 12 a.m. Mountain Time, per usual. And if that's it, bye for now.